Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lex and I'm so excited to be back, y'all. Thank you guys so much for bearing with me. I was traveling Friday and Saturday and I got back like late yesterday. So, I've been keeping up with Big Brother because y'all know I'm like the rest of the obsessed super fans, okay? So I kept up with Big Brother, but obviously couldn't really do recaps. So, I am so grateful for all of you guys. If you have been coming back to the channel, I would absolutely love it if you would support the videos by drumming up engagement, liking, sharing, comment, subscribing, all of those things. I do want to first give a shout out to Hannah G1073. Thank you very, very much for the $5 super chat on my last video. I'm so grateful for you guys. You guys do not have to go out of your way to send me extra money. So honestly, every time it all means so much to me. Because I not to get savvy, but I started this channel because I lost my job earlier this year. And so, I don't really talk about that because like I said, I don't really want anybody to feel obligated to do anything, but it literally means so much to me that you guys like send me money and like just support the channel. Even if you don't, like those of you guys that subscribe, those of you guys that watch, those of you guys that like, those of you guys that comment, some of y'all are literally so quick with it. Like I put up a video and within 5 minutes, I already see 10 likes on the video. I'm like, you guys are so real because y'all ain't even watching yet. So I love that. You guys are the best. So today we're going to go through Big Brother days 31 through 34. Now we're only going to touch on a little bit of day 31. To be honest, 31, 32, and 33, we're just going to touch on some key things that happened. And then we're going to go in depth with yesterday, which was day 34, because that's the stuff that's going to matter for the veto ceremony today. There's a couple of key things that happened in the days prior, but that's what we're going to touch on and go deep into. But I will touch on some other things. I have a few thoughts about the wall competition. What was that wall competition? So let's just get into it, okay? Day 31, we have the eviction. The blind side is pulled off. And I was very proud of T-Core and Chemo, especially because a lot of people have said, look, they're not playing. So for them to execute this blind side, I was very happy. Okay. Also, I'm here for drama, so I was very happy to see them get that out. And as I've stated before, one thing about me is if you're going to volunteer on the block to go on the block, you should go home. Like point blank period. I think if you volunteer to go up, then you deserve to leave the game. And I don't feel bad for you if you accidentally get voted out. Because the thing about Cedric is he did not have to volunteer to go on the block. So anyways, as they predicted, they had the wall comp.
Oh my God, hold on guys, hold on.
You got it, Queen.
We got it.
Queen.
There's nothing, there's no reason to let go. And there's every reason.
They had the wall comp. We'll talk about, they had the wall comp. Why was this wall comp only 30 minutes long? 30 minutes. When I tell you guys the feeds came back and the competition went on for 10 minutes, I know people want to go on and on and on and on and on and on about Tucker this, Tucker that, the comps aren't equitable, blah, blah. Why was the wall comp only 30 minutes long? I was so upset, y'all. I literally was even telling my husband, like, oh my God, I'm gonna be up tonight. I'm getting ready. And mind you, I had to get up early to go get on the train to travel on Friday. And I was like, I'm just gonna have to get sleep on the train. The wall comp was 30 minutes long. So we find out after the wall comp that obviously the winner is Tucker. But we find out during the wall comp that Tucker literally made a deal with Quinn, like, hey, look, if you drop off now, I will not put you up, okay? I got you, just do it. And Quinn was talking his ish, and then he fell off like seconds later. I was like, that's so funny to me. That's so funny to me. So Tucker wins the competition, and right after the competition, we have Quinn in the room staring into space. This man was hurt. He was so hurt. I mean, literally, we just saw Quinn sitting there.
Hey, we got each other, okay?
I only manifested winning, I only thought about victory, and I hadn't considered what it'd feel like to lose,
And mind you, remember, Quinn had also found out that the blindside happened. He was not made aware of the official plan for the blindside because Quinn couldn't vote. And Quinn has a big mouth, so I don't blame them for not telling him. I really don't, because he has a very big mouth, and I know that he would have just blah, 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 blah. So it's like he's feeling betrayed. He had an ally go out, and he just lost the competition, the wall comp at that, to Tucker. Not a good night to be Quinn. The first outs were the have-nots, so we find out that Angela, Chemo, Joseph, and Leah are the have-nots this week. And Angela was a little sad about that because it's her birthday, but they did put a nice little birthday celebration on for her the other day. They hung up streamers, they made her slop pizza. I actually thought it was so cute. I was like, okay now. And you know what, say what you want about Angela, she is very happy to be in this game. Like, whatever you think about her as a player, she is definitely extremely happy to be in the game. So Joseph and Tucker talk right after the competition. They are hyped up, obviously, because Tucker won. Joseph's like, look, if he comes after you, he can effing go. Talking about Quinn. He's like, if he comes after you, he can effing go. Like, period. You know, because they're so hyped up. They're drunk on power because obviously they're a final two. And I think their final two is like one of the realest final twos because I do think they both genuinely have a trust for each other. Now, Tucker automatically off the bat tells MJ, look, you are safe. You're not my target, but I do need 2 more pawns to go up so they can play the veto at this time. This is all Thursday night. So Tucker and Joseph, they have a conversation. They are going over targets, and eventually they do decide on Quinn, Brooklyn, and Cam. And this was always the target being Brooklyn. From Thursday night when Tucker won all the way up until last night, the target has been Brooklyn. There's been a little bit of buzz about who exactly to make the other 2 people. It always was kind of Quinn as well, but you know, that third person kind of fluctuated a little bit. Now, they both decide, look, Quinn does not need to be the target. There are bigger targets. At this point, Tucker, he had decided that, like, Cedric, for instance, Quinn, all of these people, they're not his biggest targets because he's won against them. That's straight up what he said. Like, I've won against them. It does not matter. They're not my targets. So, you know, they really decide, like, we're going to put, like, he decides, look, I'm going to put Quinn up, but I'm going to make a little plan with him to be discussed in a minute. So, they also talk about the collective because Chemo had told Tucker about the collective and Joseph. And so now he is fully aware of the collective, who the collective is, and he definitely gets an inclination about the smaller collective, that again comes up last night. So Joseph also tells Tucker about CCC, which we obviously know is Chelsea, Cedric, and Cam plus Brooklyn. Because Brooklyn was with them, but not necessarily in CCC or the core, as they call it. So at this point, Tucker tells Joseph that he trusts him most in the house, and I do believe that. So Tucker and Quinn, basically, this is what Tucker tells to Quinn. This is Thursday night. Tucker tells Quinn, look, here's the deal. I'm gonna put you up, but you're a pawn. What I need from you is to keep your mouth shut. Okay, keep your mouth shut, that you are the pawn. My target is Brooklyn. At this point, I don't want to get you out. I'm not really coming after you like that. My target is Brooklyn, but all I need from you is to keep your mouth quiet about it. That's it. Because if I hear that you told somebody else and it comes back, then I'm not going to do the plan. You know, and, you know, I knew from the minute I saw this that Quinn was going to fail this mission. I knew he was going to fail this mission in 1 second because if there's one thing about Quinn is he going to open that mouth. So I already knew that it was not happening, but that was what the plan was. All he said was, look, do not say anything, okay? All he has to do. He says, look, I know who voted out Rubina. I know who were the people against her and against us, and I have bigger targets. And that was Tucker's biggest thing, is that he has bigger targets at this moment than Quinn. Now, Tucker and Angela, they discussed this right after, and Tucker says, look, I told Quinn if he keeps his mouth shut, you know, and he puts up, you know, he's going to use the veto on him and put up Chelsea as a backdoor. But if I heard something otherwise, I'm not going to do it. So this is Thursday night. Now, we have a couple of things of note that also happened Thursday night. This is day 31 before we go on to day 32 real quick. So Chelsea tells Tucker she has no final two with anyone. Chelsea is definitely trying to distance herself from that, especially because Brooklyn is public enemy number one at this point. Just keep that in mind. Brooklyn has been alienating everyone from her because she's upset about the blind side. Many people in the house are not happy with her, and she's going around telling people that Tikor and Chemo are spineless and that they lied to her and that they did her dirty, and just people are not feeling Brooklyn's vibe after that whole thing. So 6th Avenue is also born, and this is a new alliance between Angela, Chemo, Rubina, Tikor, and Tucker. And then Rubina and Tucker, baby, they did things in the HOH. I'm not gonna put clip. They did things in the HOH room, okay? And then Rubina talks about it later and says, oh, I need to back off from him. Now, Brooklyn is the original target. I just want to make this clear. She is the target, okay? She is the target, has been the target from the beginning, as long as Quinn keeps that mouth shut. Now, Brooklyn, Angela was unsure of if Tikor or Chemo trust her, because at this point, whenever she walks into a room, they walk out. And that's something she was still worried about up until like yesterday. So day 32 is the day of noms, obviously. So obviously now Quinn, you know, he talks a lot about who his targets are going forward. His targets have kind of shifted, and he says, look, my targets going forward are MJ and Angela, okay? If I get HOH, if I get power, those two are automatically going up. Tikor is not doing very well, okay? Tikor, even after the competition, up until the next day, she was in the room just kind of looking at the wall. She was upset.
But I trust you guys more than her. But now, it's so fucking...
She actually cried at some point, and she just really was not doing well with her decision. I think she got to a point where she regretted it. She felt bad that she got out Cedric, and it's not as if Tikor was like, yes, like I did that, I'm that girl. She was definitely feeling more of the regret side of it, like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Tikor and Brooklyn do actually even end up squashing things.
Oh.
Yeah, give me a sec.
Yeah.
Nope.
I wish there was more that I could do than just say I'm sorry, because obviously this is not the ideal predicament, and you know, I don't want to see you go at all.
I hope.
Tikor does end up apologizing to her, telling her, look, like, I needed to do this. I didn't mean to hurt you though. That was never my intention. She even tells Brooklyn she wants her in the game. So Tikor again just really regrets what she did. And she even cries. She cries to Quinn.
Yeah, just because that, like, is like the least optimal move for me, like, inconsistent.
And she really feels guilty about the flip. But Chelsea and Brooklyn are still not buying it, okay? It's not like Chelsea and Brooklyn are really buying what she's selling. Now, Quinn and Tikor, again, they do talk more about the flip this day. He says he wishes he knew what was going on.
I'm scared to say anything about the collective because, yeah, I'm scared to say anything about the collective.
Because Quinn also was blindsided, right? And he would have had additional conversations with Rubina. He was obviously under the impression that Rubina was leaving, but had he known she was staying, he would have kind of tried to foster that relationship and make her feel a bit safer. And Quinn, Tikor, and Chemo also talk, and they are still scared to talk about the collective with Rubina and Tucker. They do fluctuate and debate back and forth about like just exposing it at this point, but little do they know that Tucker already knows about the collective, you know, from Chemo. Anywho, now, Quinn does admit that he feels like Tucker was more important than he was because they went through with the flip and the blind side. And yeah, things just definitely are not really the same between them and Quinn either. And even at some point, Quinn makes a final two with Brooklyn because he, you know, they keep saying, all we have is each other. All we have is each other. All we have is each other. Now, Quinn, Rubina, Tikor, and Chemo also talk. This is day 32. And they explain the collective. Why Rubina had to go up. They say, look, it's simply because Rubina was not in the collective. Then, you know, that's the reason that she ultimately had to go up. Quinn does say he is willing to work with Tucker if he doesn't share the information that he's giving him about the collective, all of these different things. Again, Quinn is open to it. Quinn has been saying, I'm open to working with Tucker as long as, you know, some things happen. Tikor and Brooklyn, like I said earlier, they do have a conversation. You know, she apologizes. She said, look, it's not ideal that this is what has to happen, but she doesn't want to see her go. She told Chemo that if she was on the other side of the vote, she knew this would happen. She also feels really, really guilty for putting Brooklyn in this position. She said she trusted. Now, Brooklyn said, look, I trusted you guys. Like, I was really close with you guys, and this really put me in a predicament this week. And she says Tucker and Rubina at this point just simply don't trust her now because of the flip. So, things of note that also happened that day. Quinn tells Tikor, Rubina, and Chemo that he's targeting MJ and Angela if he wins HOH. I think I already said that. Sorry, y'all. Chelsea and Brooklyn think Joseph, Leah, Tikor cannot and will not win anything. And that's another big thing about Brooklyn. Brooklyn's been storming around the house talking about how those two are spineless. They can't win anything. They're never going to be in power. They're never going to be this. And I just thought it was funny that she was talking about that. But it's like, Brooklyn, you've never won anything. And Chemo has won one AI arena. Well, she didn't say Chemo. She said Leah, Joseph, Leah, and Tikor. But it's like weird that you're talking about those people, but you haven't won anything either. Yeah, and like I said, people wasn't liking Brooklyn. Brooklyn was not in a good spot. And then Tucker told Brooklyn that Chemo would be the renom if needed. And obviously, Tucker's been lying to her and, like, you know, Chemo was never like an option for the renom, but that's what he told her. So that's what happened day 32. Going into day 33, we have the veto. And we find out that the veto players in the morning are Cam, Brooklyn, Quinn, Tucker, MJ, and Joseph. So Quinn, first off, we find out, failed the test. Failed the test. He actually told Brooklyn that she was the target and he was the pawn. So now it's all about what happens next that Tucker knows that. So they play the veto. The game is hide and go veto, and Tucker wins. I'm sorry, but at some point we need to have a conversation about how it's not always the competition's not being equitable. It's the fact that people aren't trying. I mean, there are people in this house that are simply just not putting in an effort. Like, you mean to tell me that nobody else could win hide and go veto? Anyway, so we come back from hide and go veto and Tucker is pissed that Quinn messed up his bed area, threw his clothes everywhere.
I didn't do it, so.
I'm pretty darn sure you did.
Okay, and you're wrong, so that's fine.
Yeah, so cool.
Yeah, what?
You're the one that, okay, whatever. Have fun up there.
Okay.
Better battle for your life in the Ainsley Arena because I'm still coming.
All of these different things. And for a really, really long time, like, Tucker is convinced that it is Quinn. It was actually Brooklyn.
Once I came and saw mine was found, I found Cam's immediately, and I was like, okay. I did chemos, and I was like, that's Brooklyn.
And Brooklyn let that ride for a very long time. Now, Brooklyn and Chelsea think that Tucker will use the veto on Cam for some reason. And they're also starting to realize, hey, we need Tikor and Chemo for numbers. We don't have the numbers. Surprise, surprise. It's only the three of y'all. Like, of course you guys don't have the numbers. So Brooklyn is planning to convince Tucker to use the veto on her and put Chemo up for the replacement like he told her he was gonna do. Mind you, this was never an option, a real option. Tucker's target is Brooklyn, has always been Brooklyn, and is still Brooklyn. So, Tucker does talk with Angela afterwards, and he does admit, look, I'm playing up how angry I am at Quinn. I know it's not him. A bunch of people tell him, like, no, it was Brooklyn. Like, you know, so he's talking about how he's playing it up, and he does say that the reason he's playing it up is to try to, like, still like make people buy that they're in beef right now. So Brooklyn and Tucker chat, and he tells her again that she's only a pawn. So Brooklyn is being really thrown off by Tucker. Tucker doesn't want her to sniff out that she's anything. And Tikor and Rubina also talk about how, you know, Tucker ripped her sheet, because Tikor was basically like, look, like, it's crazy that Quinn is so upset about, or not Quinn, sorry, Tucker is so upset about, you know, someone ripping his sheets and all this, and Quinn ripping his stuff, but Tucker ripped my sheet. So, interesting. Now, Brooklyn tells Rubina that all she has at this point is she, Tucker, and Chelsea. And Rubina does want to talk later because she wants to try to make something between the three of them. So Tucker and Chemo have a conversation, and Tucker says, look, I'm straight up going to ask Chelsea about the Pentagon and see if she admits it. Tucker and Angela also talk, and he says, look, I may pull off Quinn and still put up Chelsea, leaving Brooklyn as that target. Because remember, Tucker is aware that Quinn spilled the beans. So now it became a thing of, well, is he still gonna do it? Is he still gonna do it? Quinn spilled the beans. What is he gonna do? Is he gonna leave him up? Is he gonna start to target him? Is he still gonna want Brooklyn out? And he does start to tell people that most likely it's still looking like he's going to target Brooklyn. So Joseph and Tucker have a conversation. Joseph is like, look, I need Brooklyn to go. All right. And Tucker once again does reiterate that his target is still Brooklyn. So at the time, he's still planning to use the veto, but he doesn't tell Quinn because Quinn's big mouth is too big. So he's like, I'm going to keep it, but I'm going to use it. And, you know, he says, Joseph says, look, the benefit of keeping Quinn is that he tells me a lot. He really trusts me. You know, he's a good ally and a good asset to have because of that. Because obviously Quinn knows information from different sides of the house because he has so many alliances. So Chemo and Tucker have a conversation, and Tucker says, look, I'm going to keep the noms the same because it's less dirty. So again, he's telling one person one thing, he's telling another person another thing. At this point, Joseph is his real final two, and as he said, he trusts Joseph the most. So he had shown Joseph and Angela, I think his two closest people, hey, I'm going to still use the veto, but he had told Chemo that he was gonna kind of leave it the same because Chemo might still tell Tikor, who might, like, you know, and that still might make its way back to Quinn and other people. So that's where we were at the end of day 33. Things of note is that Quinn said, look, Quinn told this really inappropriate story about why he stopped flirting with Leah. And I'm not going to tell the actual story because I think it's disgusting. But the one thing I want to put out there is that Quinn says some things sometimes where I'm just like, that's really weird, you know? What he said was really weird. It's on Twitter. I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable saying it here. But like, when he told this story, I kind of felt for Leah because it's like, you're writing somebody off because of something like that. Why are you telling this story? The target is still Brooklyn, but Tikor, Chemo, and Rubina want MJ as a nomination because they want to protect Chelsea. So there's another little subplot going on where especially Tikor, she really, really wants to protect Chelsea at this point. She has said straight up, if Chelsea goes up, I'm not voting her out. You know, she said that basically, you know, for her, it seems like her and Chelsea have some kind of understanding that they are not going to vote one of the two of each other out. And so Tikor has been extremely adamant and really pushing hard to get MJ up because obviously she's not voting out Chelsea. And, you know, ordinarily I'd be like, okay, right? But the thing is, Chelsea doesn't have that same energy for her. In fact, I'm pretty sure Chelsea has stated that she would put up Tikor and Chemo next week if she gets in power. So I just don't know that same sentiment is shared. I think it's pretty stupid for Tikor to do that, if I'm being honest. Now, Tucker lies to MJ and says he's not using the veto on anyone. Again, Tucker has confided basically in Angela and Joseph. Those are the two people that know like the actual plan. And then everybody else, he's kind of just telling something. Some people he's flat out lying. Other people he's telling some part of the truth. But like those are the only two that really know. Chelsea says, look, I am not interested in resolving things with Leah or Joseph. Chelsea has basically written them out of her game. And lastly, Tikor makes it clear, as I've stated, that she is not going to vote out Chelsea. Day 34, which was yesterday. And this is the day that really matters because this is going to be what happens today. The veto ceremony's today. So let's get into it. We start off with Chelsea and Brooklyn having a conversation. They are discussing the different possibilities of what could potentially happen during the veto meeting. They're saying, look, keeping Quinn will be terrible for the other side, and they need to realize that. Like, why are we keeping Quinn instead of getting him out this week? Now, they are figuring out what they need to do to stay, and of course, they give the same canned speech about how they're both gunning for the HOH, they're gonna get in power. Brooklyn said, look, I can feel like my power is coming really soon. I know it's gonna be me. Angela and Joseph have a conversation, and he is asking her if she has a preference of who she wants to go home.
I mean, I would really just want somebody to go home who I feel like would put both of us up. And I think that would be Brooklyn for sure. I think like she has some pull over the other girls, so that would be good.
At this point, she says no, but Joseph wants Brooklyn out because he feels that she still has pull with some of the girls. Okay. My nose is tickling, y'all. Sorry, I keep scratching my nose. It's tickling. I don't know why. I think it's my allergies. So Angela and Rubina are having a conversation, and Angela, she was worried for some reason about how she looked to Tucker. It was a really whispered conversation, but she's paranoid because she says, look, like, I'm gonna have not this week. I don't want Tucker to think anything about my reactions or the way I'm acting. And Rubina's like, nah, he knows better. He's not gonna care about that. But Angela has been really, really paranoid. I only put this in here because Angela's been really paranoid about how people are looking at her. Like I said, she thinks Tikor and Chemo are completely avoiding her. And yeah, paranoid Ange is back, okay? She's on slop. And I'm just saying, paranoid Ange is back, and today's only Monday, so I don't know. Now, Tucker and Rubina are talking. They are talking about how Cam had ratted them out when it came to the different votes and things as such. And also how Brooklyn has a terrible poker face, how Brooklyn is clearly upset and she's not doing a good job of hiding it. And as I said, a lot of people this week have been turned off by Brooklyn's behavior. She's been very mean. She's been very nasty. There was one point where she literally slammed the door in Leah's face the other day. I think they showed that on a TV show last night too. But yeah, Brooklyn has not been good. I feel like Brooklyn has gone from the top to the bottom in a matter of like a day. So Joseph, Tikor, and Chemo have a conversation. Joseph wants Tikor and Chemo to consider working at this point with MJ.
And I think that initial bond that we all had, I don't think can be broken quite that easily. I think we can repair it, whereas you can't. What did we have with them, really? Like, you know what I mean? So.
Because remember, they want MJ to go up so Chelsea can be safe. Tikor doesn't trust it because MJ threw her name out at some point to go up, and Chemo doesn't like the fact that they're ignoring the fact that MJ did throw out Tikor's name. You know, Joseph coming to them and being like, you should do this, while ignoring the fact that MJ was low-key gunning for her, right? Now, Joseph says MJ has no one at this point, so it could be good to pair up with her, which is crazy. MJ still does not have an alliance. Why does this girl have no alliances? Like, I really don't understand. She still has nothing. Now, Joseph does want the veto to be used on Quinn, but Joseph doesn't like that Brooklyn let others take the fall for messing up Tucker's stuff yesterday, which, like I said, yeah, she let so many people all throughout the day think that it was Quinn, but then it was her, and she knew it. And he does not trust Leah at this point. So Chelsea and Rubina talk. Now, Rubina says, look, I was not being myself when I was on the block because I didn't want to end up like Lisa.
Through a sympathy vote. Right. The fact that they were left out felt like kind of just messy. When it didn't have to be. It could have just been like, hey, y'all, let's keep Rubina. Yeah. That was where my anger went. It's like, why?
She does, you know, Chelsea does clarify that she wants Rubina in the game. And she said she wasn't against her. It's just that everybody else had a heads up about what was going on during the vote. And she had no idea. So she feels, you know, some type of way towards everybody. And that's the reason why Chelsea was having that reaction. Now, she believes like Rubina does want to play her own game. Rubina does want to be her own person. And she thinks that she doesn't want to just be beholden to like a showman's. She understands that. But you know, overall, Chelsea's telling her, like, I do feel like you prioritize the game. And obviously, she's just trying to get in good graces with Rubina because she needs numbers. So Chemo and Angela, they have a little bit of a check-in. Chemo is like, do you know what Tucker's doing? Because he knows that Angela is really close to Tucker. And she says no. But the reality is Angela does know. She's just keeping a secret. So good for her. Angela's not spilling all the beans. Chemo says he does want to believe that Tucker is honest because he does trust him a lot. But, you know, Angela says, look, I didn't tell Joseph who I want to go home, and I trust you and T-Core. So, still good there, but Angela is keeping them lips zipped, and I was proud of her. So, Rubina and Tucker, they talk about the conversation with Brooklyn and Chelsea. He is talking about how Rubina, they had told Rubina that they wanted to be them three at the end. So Tucker, she was telling that to Tucker. And at the end of the day, he says, look, I'm still putting Chelsea up. Okay, so Chelsea is still the target. Now, Joseph and Chemo have a pretty long conversation. And Joseph is like, look, I'm just annoyed that Brooklyn is kissing up to me. But I do understand why, because she's on the blog.
Down to her, and I'm not her biggest fan, you know that, but I'm not, you know, but I'll be fair, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
The only thing I had a problem with was not coming and fessing up to it when somebody is getting berated by somebody else over it. That I have.
Obviously, she needs to try her best. Chemo says, look, she was a bit nicer to me today, too. Like, it's clear that, you know, she's not completely over it, but she's a little bit better. Also, that Chelsea was a bit nicer as well. Joseph is frustrated that he's getting painted out negatively by Brooklyn for being in two alliances with Tucker, but Brooklyn literally did the same thing by being in two separate alliances. Joseph also talks about how certain people in the house are playing too hard too fast, you know, and he originally thought, look, I was going to be with the Jocks. I was going to be with someone like Matt, but obviously Matt crashed and burned so quickly. But from the beginning, he also did think Chelsea was super chill, but he's not really liking some sides of her that he's been seeing. Kibo's like, what do you think about me then? And he's like, well, look, I think you're cool, but I could potentially see you losing your patience on someone in the future. But I understand that that could just be because you are a have-not. Okay, so Quinn and Tucker finally have their one-on-one. You know, it was discussed that they were going to talk at some point, and they had it yesterday. And first off, Quinn off the bat is like, is it okay to have Kibo, T-Core, and T-Core and Rubina in the meeting? And Tucker's like, well, I think we want to have a one-on-one first, right? So he says, first off, Quinn talks about being in a final two with Brooklyn, even though, you know, she was saying it's only us two. Tucker is like, look, like, she told me, like, she doesn't really have anyone. You know, she came to the room and said it's no one. So I thought it was really interesting that, you know, you guys have a final two. He was basically saying that Brooklyn came into the room and ratted out the final two as bait. That never happened, by the way. But he was saying it as bait to see if Quinn would admit it. And of course, Big Mouth Quinn admits that he has an alliance with Brooklyn.
But like,
appreciate you admitting it.
Yeah. I'm shocked that she sold out the final two, I won't lie, because we had been talking about that like the whole season and everything.
Yeah.
It's like, that hurts. That's crazy, but
yeah.
It is what it is.
In the final two.
But Brooklyn never told Tucker about an alliance, for the record. But Tucker told Quinn that Brooklyn did, saying that, oh, you guys don't have anyone, so you guys made a final two together. Woo, baby. Tucker says, you know, Brooklyn ratted out so many people when she came to the room. You know, she's ratted out so many alliances. She was so quick to put out there who voted for who. He says, look, like, Chelsea, you know, said it was me and I don't know who else. Cam said it was me and I don't know who else. But Brooklyn was very quick to be like, oh, no, it was us three. So he was definitely just trying to paint out how Brooklyn is not trustworthy, you know, how she's kind of just playing everyone. Now he asks, look, did you mess with my clothes? Because Tucker was very upset about the clothes. He was like, I need to ask one more time. Did you mess with my clothes? He says, no, it was not me. You know, he goes, I know. I know it was Brooklyn. I just wanted to see if you were going to admit it or not. At this point, he says, look, and he also admits that he's doing the clothes thing to stick with the beef. I think I already mentioned that, but yeah, he's doing that clothes thing and acting like he's upset about the clothes because he wants to stick with the beef. He says he only trusts himself and his abilities at this point, but he wants to play the game cleaner. That's what Tucker says to Quinn. Now, he does, Quinn admits the collective. Yet again, Tucker says, I know, and I know about the Pentagon, and I know about the mini Pentagon, and I'm gonna call it all out, okay? He claims that he did not want to be part of the majority alliance because it's boring. So once again, Quinn tries to distance himself from the collective by saying, I didn't want to be in that. They just asked me. I didn't want to. He claims he felt that he was at the bottom of the collective, and so he was trying to make other alliances. Okay. Now he's not sure what he's doing. That's what Tucker says. He says, I don't know what I'm doing. Obviously at this point, he has decided that he is using the veto and putting up Chelsea, but he doesn't want to tell Quinn because Quinn has a big mouth. Quinn does admit he was down to flip on the collective because he felt like he was at the bottom, but he apologizes in general for not telling Tucker about the power. He says overall, like, look, I don't really trust you, bro. Like, I don't really trust you, bro, because you didn't tell me about the power. You didn't take my deal at the wall comp. Because remember I told you at the wall comp, he said, look, if you drop now, I got you. He says you didn't take any of that. So right now, I can't really trust you. Because again, he wants Quinn to feel like he's in danger. He doesn't want to give any inclination that Quinn is safe, actually, because Quinn has such a big mouth. And he says, look, MJ is one of the only people that has continuously campaigned for you to stay in the house. I don't know, he just throws that in there, that MJ campaigned for him to stay in the house. So that's basically the crux of their conversation. Quinn and Rubina also have a talk, and he talks about his chat with Tucker with her and says, look, he does not care about this plan. Sorry. Y'all, it's been a long video. Quinn and Rubina have a chat, and Quinn talks about his chat with Tucker. He says, look, Tucker didn't even really care about my plan or about working with me because at the end of the day, he doesn't need me because he knows he can win every single competition on his own. So he has no interest in working with me or making any kind of plan with me because he doesn't need me. All right, and towards the end of the night, Tucker and Chemo also have a debrief. They are talking about how Brooklyn says she has a final two with Chelsea, and he says at this point he doesn't have any final twos with anyone, like he's just saying like Brooklyn is talking about how everybody has final twos and people are saying that everyone has final twos, and he's like, I don't have a final two though. Like y'all think that that's acceptable because you do it, that I do it, and that's not true, which is obviously not true. Tucker does have a final two with Joseph, but of course he's not admitting that.
Chelsea might not know that you have a final two with Quinn. Have to talk with Quinn.
So, oof.
I didn't tell him what I was gonna do yet.
Yeah. He asked me earlier.
He says Chelsea was supposed to come talk to him and never did, which you all know, or maybe you don't know, but one thing I don't like is when someone is in danger and they choose not to campaign. I don't care if you don't like the person, try to campaign for your game. So he did chat with Quinn he talks about in the chat with Quinn how Quinn slipped up and revealed the final two to Brooklyn because like I said, he baited him and he took the bait. Now, he is discussing the fact that Cam had came upstairs and asked him for a final two. I didn't really go in depth with that conversation because I'll be honest, Cam conversations are so like, I don't know. But Cam came up at one point and said, look, if we win this HOH, if we got this, let's do it next week. If I win HOH, let's ride it out next week. And Tucker's like, yeah, sure, bro. But he says that he had offered Cam a final two when he was coming off the block, when he won the AI arena, and he didn't want to take it. And now all of a sudden he wants to come back and ask for a final two. Now, in the veto meeting today, Tucker is planning to blow up the collective and the tighter collective, as he's calling it, during the veto meeting. He told Brooklyn, look, I got one public enemy and a bunch of private enemies. And Brooklyn is talking about, oh, I love Rubina. I didn't mean to do this to her. You know, I didn't want to. But at the same time, she was ready to vote him out. And so that's what Tucker is bringing up, how like they were ready to vote her out and did. Apparently Brooklyn was saying that Rubina would be her daughter's favorite and all of these different things. And Tucker's just not buying what they're selling, which fair enough, you know. But he says overall, Quinn is at this point telling the truth in the conversations with him because he's scrambling, he's paranoid, he's panicking. So at this point, he's giving up all that he has, but he confirms, look, Tucker's like, whoever gets me out, I'm gonna be their biggest fan on the outside because they actually did the work to like try to get out a good competitor. He goes on a whole monologue about how he works out, how he's actually trying. And as I've said, I'll be honest, I think Tucker is one of the people in the house that has the fire. And because he has the fire, he's putting in that work in a way that I do feel like there are people in this house that are not doing that. That's all. You know, I'm not saying I like or dislike people, because if you know me, I don't watch this show with favorites. But I just feel like Tucker is a person that has that dog in him. Like, he's like, I'm ready to go. Whereas some of these people, I think, are a little too comfortable. So I do like that Tucker wants to shake the house up so people don't feel comfortable anymore. That I cannot be mad at. So he does confirm to Chemo, though, that he is using the veto on Quinn, but he tells Chemo, do not tell Quinn, okay? Do not say anything. So the tanks also have a meeting, and he tells them, look, I'm going to use the veto on Quinn. Don't say anything. And basically, they're discussing votes. At this point, he says, look, if it's Brooklyn and Cam, Brooklyn goes. If it's Chelsea and Cam, Chelsea goes. But obviously, like, T-Core's not gonna vote out Chelsea. So we're gonna see what happens this week, you know? I think it'll probably, you know, it still looks like it's gonna be Brooklyn, but we will see. So things of note. Things of note, we're at the end, y'all. Chelsea and Brooklyn do not believe they can win against Tucker at all if the AI arena exists. I do think if the AI arena exists, these people have a lot on their hands with Tucker. I'll say that. Brooklyn fills Chelsea in on her talk with Tucker, and she says, like, look, I told him I was open to working together. I'm a free agent. I don't really have anyone. But Tucker wasn't really like buying it, and he never really mentioned working together because MJ had told them that Tucker had been like mentioned working together with them, but he never mentioned it. Like, he never asked them for an alliance, so Brooklyn was confused. Now T-Core asks Chemo if he knows Tucker's plan earlier in the day, and he doesn't, but eventually he does find out. So we'll see if Chemo ends up telling T-Core about, you know, it all. And overall, Tucker tells Cam he's not the target. And again, Cam wants to work together after this week, but he's like, look, bro, you're not like the target. Just calm down, just relax, like don't do too much. And that's it. That is where we are at. So the long short of it is the target is still Brooklyn. Quinn is coming off the block most likely and being replaced with Chelsea. T-Core will not vote out Chelsea, but it looks like at the end of the day, the target is going to be Brooklyn. Brooklyn, count your days. Unfortunately, it's not looking so good for you, and you're likely going to be the next to go. Okay, anyways, if you watched this really long video, that means you like the videos. So please help me drum up engagement on these videos by liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing on the videos. It really motivates me to keep creating. It helps me to get the videos out there. It pushes them to more people. If you have not subscribed already, please consider hitting the subscribe button and make sure that the bell is on. Also, make sure you're still subscribed because people get unsubscribed by accident for some reason. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in the next recap. Bye!